Hello, all you beautiful beings out there. Today, I'm going to share some very important information about your human linear mind. Your mind you're listening to this with right now. Um, it's something I talk to clients about when I'm with them, but this I feel just everybody needs to know this stuff now. All right. So I'm sharing what I normally share with clients, and I feel it's incredibly important to know this because the mind can actually stall your path, your ascension path. It can create all sorts of headaches for you. We all know it's a bit of a trickster. It basically is what the personality, the human self, the intellect, the identity, the ego. I mean, they're all words for that personality that you identify with being. The mind um, uses, or the personality, sorry, uses that faculty to make sense of this world. So, but it's more earth software, the mind. So it's like everybody's attempting to get their wisdom and grow and expand on this journey, this awakening that's happening for everybody. Um, and yet the mind can be the thing that regulates that. It can reject your wisdom. It can, yeah, create a lot of headaches for you, actually. So when you know a bit more about it, um, from a working perspective, how I've been with clients and then what's happened to me, then it can offer you like a more expansive viewpoint or perspective on it. And that helps your own mind kind of let go of you a little bit, because it almost is like it's like a box, the box of the mind, okay? And it can be so limiting, and yet, guys, it's supremely helpful. We're not just going to dump our mind, because we still need to, drive the car safely. We still need to organize the day, organize the kids, or whatever you're doing in your normal earthly kind of life. But it can't be used for the direction in your life, your to access your wisdom, etc. Because it's not designed for that. It actually doesn't have the right software for that. And the mind is just a software program. Now, my son, who's now 14, a year ago he put some videos out there, and one of them is about the mind. And it's designed with the terminology that a teenager or a younger child, say 8 or whatever, might resonate to. So if you've got young children between 7, 8 to teenage years, they would definitely benefit from hearing his video, which is on this channel, about the mind. Okay, so let's be on point here. Knowing it regulates your path and your ascension, it is important to understand a bit more about it. So the bigger picture is this: we are evolving beyond that function, if we could say that. So we still need our mind to work our earthly lives, but as a species, humans are actually evolving beyond this mental capacity into the felt sense, the feeling. So you could say we're growing and changing, evolving from thinking our way through our life with the old programming, the old ways of being. You could say that's the old earth. And we're moving into the new paradigm, the new earth and new energies. And that's different software. We feel our way. We use what we might call the divine mind, the intuitive faculties, the higher levels of mind, not the old limited software of the linear mind. Right. So there is this shift going on for people. I mean, I'm noticing with clients, for example, they're trying to think their way through something and there's no answers. Well, that's because the answers aren't in that limited mind, that old way of searching for information. Because just think about it, guys. That human linear mind is a database. And what you're doing is you're searching a database of information that's old, it's defunct, it's the old earth, old way of being. And we're evolving into new earth, new ways of being, the new paradigm. Well, that's feeling your way. It's higher levels of mind faculties that are coming on board. It's the intuitive felt sense. And you do that via your heart space. The heart space is actually a multidimensional space, but you can have access to your nost, your knowing. You just know things. It's kind of funny because people say to me, "How do you know that?" Knowing is something. It's like you know that you know, and you don't have to know why. It's the mind, the linear mind, that thinks it's got to know why and the steps 1 to 10, etc. It's very different. But everyone is in a phase of doing this, whether they realize it or not. Our instincts, our felt sense is being heightened right now because the high energy is coming on the planet, and it's actually helping people with this to, really recognize, oh my gosh, I can't think my way out of this box of the mind. Okay. So there is this natural evolution going on. Um, and you're probably noticing you don't have answers to your future uh, using your mind. It's like, what do I do next? Well, guess what? The thing you do next is recognize the answers are not in that linear mind function. You got to go into your heart space. You got to go within. You actually, I've got a recording that will help you with it. I put it out a long time ago, and it's called, and I'll link it below, going from the human linear mind into the divine mind, which is basically your felt sense, your intuitive faculties, the higher mind, where all your knowing is. Because, guys, truly inside you, you have every answer always to everything you need, right? So I'm speaking to you from a place where my mind is now my buddy. It's like a good team member. You will always need your human mind in some way, shape, or form, but it can't work out the next steps for you on your path, on your ascension path, on your awakening path. It will still make great cups of tea. It will still get the kids to school. It will still function in a certain work jobs, earthly work jobs. And when you're driving the car, it's damn good at doing it. Okay, so it knows what to do. So we're not dismissing it. We're just evolving beyond the limited capacities of it, and there are higher mind faculties that are coming on board. So where I'm speaking from, not only is my mind it's a great team member, it's like a best friend, but it doesn't stop any of my wisdom coming in. All right, it doesn't stop me accessing my nost, my knowing. My knowing's always there. Whereas, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would block that. It would have me, the mind is a thing that creates doubting. It's like, oh no, I can't accept that information because in my data software, it's not there. Okay, so it doesn't accept the quantum energies, the nos, the knowing, because the earth mind, the linear mind, is searching its data, its old data, you know. So it is a very, very interesting creature. We do need it. It can be your best friend. It can actually be a great team member. But that in and of itself is a path, a journey. Now, guys, if you are having issues with your mind, um, you know, this is one way to find where old life energies are that require healing or wholeness. If you're running mental programs that seem not relevant to you now in this life, the mind is great at running those programs to let you know where there's old patterns from old lives that need and require your attention. So if you've got some really weird defunct old patterns, you might be, it's probably just coming from an old life because the mind replays those programs, guys. And right now, if you haven't watched my video knowing the bigger picture, I suggest you do, because that, when you look at that picture, you'll see that the old life energies that are, clearing, healing and stuff, have actually got mental patterns attached to them, right? So they'll be in your mental programming, your software of the mind, your linear mind, and they'll be running as programs right now. I'm not good enough. Things aren't, working for me. Oh, I can't do that. They're all sort of limited and limitations that basically can be from this life, from when you're younger, or from the old lives as well. So guys, it's really good. You can use your mind to access things. But here's a little tool for you. If you've got weird programs running in your head, and that voice is not you, it's just software, right? So, all you've got to do is this. Put your hand on your heart Listen to what the mind's saying. And the first level of discernment is finding out whether it's you. So, let's imagine you've got a pattern running now. You put your hand on your heart and you just ask your higher self, your soul, is this me? That's the first thing you've got to ask. Because if you're hearing a mental program, you want to know if it's you, whether it's you from this life or whether it's you from an old life. That's the first level of discernment. Now, if it's yours, then you can go about healing that and addressing that. If you hear that's not you, so you've got this mental program running and your higher self says, no, that's not you, well, you will know that that mental program is coming from mass consciousness, the collective mind, all right? Because our mind is connected to the collective, the mass consciousness, and that's like a mind soup. My son said it was like a soup. And it's not in your body, it's outside of your energy, outside of your mind, your body, physical body, but it is a mental plane. Huh? So that soup of mass consciousness is running, well, it's actually quite defunct right now because everybody's mind's very scattered because it's looking for answers inside it for the future that is, they're not there because we're going into the new paradigm. We don't have in the database of the linear mind, there are no answers for that, guys. That's what the whole evolution is about, going beyond that limited mental function and the identity, the personality, into the expansive self, the light being that you are, the quantum self, the multidimensionality. That evolution is real, but people are not realizing that it's showing up in their life. As an issue, I can't access my wisdom. And most people have blocked themselves, but the wisdom's always there. The Gnost is always there, but it's the mind that's the trickster. So once you start understanding this bigger picture of the mind, you'll start to get it, right? So recognize that mind is your linear mind is something you've used. It's been supremely successful, but not in this current evolution, and we are definitely evolving beyond it. Okay, so to find out whether those mental patterns that are running are yours, just put your hand on your heart and run through what I just mentioned. And if it is mass consciousness, or it's coming from outside of you, unplug it. You know, just observe it and just go, whoa, that's not me. That's coming from mass consciousness. Okay, I get it. I'm not going mad, type of thing. And it's interesting because a lot of people identify with being that voice in their head, right? That mind is like me. Well, if you identify with being that mind, that software, wowza, you're going to think you're going crazy right now because the mental plane is fractious. So guys, you are not your mind, okay? It's a functioning software that has helped you to now, but when you start evolving beyond it, you can't think your way out of it. You can't think your way through stuff. You can only feel and intuit your way through things, and that requires totally different software, right? So again, my mind recording that's linked below will help you make that shift. But then once you make the shift, you've got to recognize what is the mind chattering and what really is your knowing and your, natural instinct. And for a while there, people say to me, I'm not sure which is which. And I say to them, listen, put your hand on your heart, you'll feel it. People have got to learn to be discerning about where the energy and the thoughts and feelings, all that stuff is coming from. That's a whole journey in itself. But the good news is, with what's happening on the planet, now more than ever, it's easier to actually tune into your felt sense, right? And you'll know whether things are coming from the mind or whether they're coming from your intuitive feelings, that innate wisdom. You all have it inside you, guys, right? So what I noticed for me is I couldn't think my way out of it. But what happened over time was my mind recognized that my, you could say divine mind, my intuitive faculties, that innateness, that knowing, that Gnost, my mind started to realize, oh, okay, I don't need to run your life anymore. You're making decisions from there. And I said to my linear mind, hey, how about you do my earthly tasks really well and show other people how you can live with me, function with me, but not block my wisdom and the higher mind, the intuitive faculties. And it did. And it's now I can literally, like I said, that's why I'm experiencing like a great team member. Instead of something that blocks me, something that's a trickster, because guys, you still need it. So it becomes a working function of you and it doesn't block your wisdom. And I want you to know that that's absolutely possible, since I'm absolutely living that and speaking from that truth. And only when someone's actually managed that themselves can they actually then speak this truth, because you're speaking from the nos, the knowing, right? Now, if you guys are having big issues with this, I want to tell you something that it could be too. This is quite big, actually. It's not just because you're used to using the linear mind and it's your go-to program that it could be, causing the issue, because that's mostly the issue for most people. Sometimes you have old life, past life overlays. If any of you guys relate to Atlantis or remember lives in Atlantis, you may have old overlays that have come from that time, that are actually really causing issues for you with your mind. So it's almost like it's harder for you to get out of your head, if you could say, get out of your mind. So these are things I've done thousands of quantum sessions, and I can see when people have overlays, hypnotic overlays, guys, things that patterns that you've had running in an old life or in another time that are now affecting this life. But that's something that I do inside a quantum session, all right? But if you resonate to that, you'll know, because you'll start getting vibrations. You'll be like, oh gosh, I put my own lockdown on myself, and it's time for me to go beyond it. And part of this evolution is you understanding A, where it's coming from, and B, what you need to do just to rise above it, basically, because it's all been a game. And people often say to me, oh, but Deb, that voice so much, it's like it's in my head. Well, your brain obviously, your brain is like a computer that runs the software from the mind. So it does seem like it's in your head, guys, but it is not. And I'll tell you, think of it like this. Have you ever sat in the house where family members are on tech, all right, and it's like they're not with you? You can feel there's no presence. So if someone's sitting next to you and they're on the phone, you can feel it's almost like they're in the phone, but they're not, they're in the mental plane, right? And so when someone's on tech or doing something and they're in the mental plane, you can feel they're not there. There's like a lack of presence, right? And my son put that on one of his recordings about the mind, and it was like, wow. He actually said something that really dropped into my space. And younger kids often just speak wisdom, and it can often go past you if you're not attuned. And he said, don't spend your life in the mental plane. It's a world out there. Bring your, awareness back inside yourself. Come back to the heart, basically, he was saying in his words. And that's where we're all at. Because when you're in your head, your focus is outside, it's out there, it's in the mental plane, and you can't change or know what to do for your future, or even if you're not present in your life, you're going to feel like you're spinning out, because the mental plane is further away and it makes you feel like you're outside of yourself anyway. So we've all got to get more present, come back to the heart. And if you're having troubles with that, you may have those hypnotic overlays and those old energies where you've partaken in Atlantis, or other old lives where you've blocked yourself, or you have if you have a lot of old hurts, guys, right? Old hurts that haven't been resolved, those act like filters around your heart. So you try to access your wisdom, you try to access your felt sense, but when you go to do that, you pop back up into your head because you blocked your own heart. There's a lot of hurts there. So those two things inside sessions are what I deal with every day with clients, and I've done for over a decade, nearly 2 decades. So when I'm sharing with you now, I'm trying to help you guys recognize the bigger picture of this, because once you get the bigger picture, you'll start to self-correct. All right. You definitely have all your wisdom in there, and you know, the things that you need to come to awareness on will be the things that unlock it, and your mind will go, oh, of course, I don't need to control you anymore, because the mind's just running an automatic program until you interrupt it. Okay. So if you've got questions about this, feel free to put it in the comments below. Okay. If you can even resonate to what I'm sharing, um, you know, share. And because I always look at the comments. And first of all, if you want help with this, listen to that free recording from linear, how to go from linear mind to divine mind. And when I'm talking about divine mind, that's just basically another word for your higher mind faculties, your innate wisdom, your felt sense, your intuitive faculties. Everyone's got them, guys. But a lot of people have blocked it off because they've been thinking their way through life. And guess what? It only gets you so far. So listen to that, align with it, pay attention, watch how your mind plays tricks. But just say, hey, mind, thanks for sharing. I love you. But I'm choosing to let my knowing in, I'm choosing to work with my felt sense now. And eventually the mind just backs down and starts doing what it needs to do in your earthly life, just like driving a car or making your lunch or whatever. Um, so yeah, it's a bit of a longer video, but I felt I really wanted to share this because I know that everyone can have that if they choose. It is a journey, but have that just direct knowing and nost available to them without the human linear mind blocking it every moment. Because that is the thing that has us running circles around ourselves. It has us confused. It creates a whole load of doubt. I mean, doubt is the mind's job. It stops you, it slows you down, it blocks the higher self. It's only because it thought well, it really thinks it still needs to run the program, but it doesn't anymore. Guys, we are in an evolution. Embrace this new change. Make sure you start observing what's going on in your mind. Start to discern, what are my thoughts? Is that coming from an old life? Or is it coming from mass consciousness and everybody else's mind? You have to start discerning this stuff so that you don't feel A, you're going mad, and B, you can access your wisdom. Because there, it's always there. It's always there. Okay, so you know where to find me if you want to book in for a session. You know I've got a load of free content there. Use it if it feels, you know, you resonate to it. And if you don't resonate to it, stop listening. Anyway, just know you can have a lot of fun with your mind, guys. Don't be so serious about all this stuff, okay? We need to, you know, laugh and giggle sometimes just about this whole evolution we're in, because there is a way to gracefully move through it. The mind doesn't know how to do that, of course, because it wants steps 1 to 10. So this is why this has been a longer video, because it's an important subject or theme to discuss. So anyway, guys, have a great day. Create a great day. I'm sending you love and blessings, and no, I do acknowledge you for being on the planet right now. Okay, it's a time of great change, and yes, it can feel intense, but guess what? You can shift your mindset around that. And once you start getting out of your human linear mind and stop complaining about everything that's going on, you'll recognize there is a magic here, there is a beauty here, and there is fun to be had when you get out of that box of the mind and stop allowing that to control you, okay? Because it's got all sorts of defunct programming, and it will have you feeling fed up as soon as you wake up in the morning. All right. See you guys. Bye for now.